potentially we could go down that route and glamorize it a little bit more, make it a bit more of a spectacle.
That's like the most anti-rugby thing in the world. But I agree, like you need stars to build sports, right? And America is a perfect example of it.
I think a lot of what is going on now is like to take away the jeopardy, take away the fact that it can be dangerous, which isn't what our sport is. Our sport is violent. Our sport is aggressive. Our sport's physical. It's not an easy sport to play. Maybe we have to get our head around the fact that it just can't be safer than it is. It just can't.
Yeah.
It just can't.
So talking about commercially, so again, this might not be your thing, but like commercially, if you're talking about basketball, NBA is consistently, even though it's declining at the moment, but the NFL, for example, is like it just keeps growing. Yeah. So in terms of rugby, because it almost feels as if like club rugby, sometimes it can be a bit static in terms of like growth. Yeah. So for you, how do you think club rugby can grow in I guess England and Europe as a whole?
I think it goes back to the fact that I support LeBron.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, like stars.
I support LeBron, even though I'm not affiliated with a team in America because I'm not from there. So I can't be like, I know I support Chelsea, but my dad supported Chelsea, so it's a bit different. But like I think that's one thing that maybe has to change, because again, even in NFL, like they wear helmets, but people know what they look like, who they are, what team they play for.
Yeah.
Like it's big news for an individual superstar player to be known and to be heralded as a superstar. And I think maybe that's American culture. Maybe that's American culture in the way that they put these athletes. But I think potentially we could go down that route and maybe have like maybe superstars that people just follow and support. I think that's something that maybe needs to be pushed, and maybe, I don't know, maybe like glamorize it a little bit more, make it a bit more of a spectacle.
Bro, because I completely agree with you, but there's two things that come to mind. Firstly, that's like the most anti-rugby thing in the world. Like it's always like traditional. It's always about team and no one sticking their head above the parapet. But I agree. Like you need stars to build sports, right? And America is a perfect example of it. Yeah. But then there's another thing that you said about glamorizing the sport, and I always think this, like over the past couple of years, maybe 5 years actually, in rugby we've been really afraid of celebrating like the physical contact, you know, element of it. And if you think of what's the biggest sport that's grown in the last 5 years, it's the UFC. Right?
UFC, yeah.
And they embrace the physicalness, they embrace the fighting aspect of it. And I feel like in the UK or in wherever, we're almost trying to downplay and just be so focused on safety. Like rugby's not for everyone, and that's okay. But the people that it is for, let's embrace it.
One of the fastest growing sports at the moment in terms of like new sports is I don't even know what you call it, but do you know when they slap one another? Have you seen it where like this?
I'm not for that.
Well, they hold on to the thing and they have to slap.
So for me, what I find crazy about it, 'cause it goes back to the whole thing of, I guess, the physical aspect of it, and the reation why it's so popular is because of like the aggression side of it. Where for me, it's ludicrous, it's mad. The concept of it is mad, but there's people that are clicking and watching, and that sport is growing.
But I also think it's like jeopardy.
Yeah,
it's jeopardy. The thing that is so. I think sometimes in NFL, when you see the big highlights and the big plays, it's like somebody getting smashed, or somebody maybe like. I don't necessarily agree with it, but then when they highlight injuries and stuff, it's like it brings back the jeopardy element of things. And then like, I think a lot of what is going on now is like to take away the jeopardy, take away the fact that it can be dangerous, which isn't what our sport is. Our sport is violent. Our sport is aggressive. Our sport's physical. You know, and it's not an easy sport to play. It's not like. But I think that maybe we have to get our head around the fact that it just can't be safer than it is. It just can't. We just can't make it safer than it is, because the whole point of rugby is, like, it's an invasion sport that's contact. So you can physically stop somebody from. You have to physically stop someone from getting somewhere. You have to do that.
So what's the biggest collision that you've been in? So where like
probably this one with my ribs.
Okay, so it tells where you felt. You're like,
I mean, I basically just got sandwiched by two blokes trying to hit me as hard as they could.
Right.
yeah.
Like that was it. And then my rib cage just, like, something had to give.
Yeah.
And it was my rib cage, and it was like the cartilage around my sternum. So like,
Wow.
Do you remember who the Bath players were?
I remember them. I'm not going to name names.
You're not going to give them the credit.
They're stapled in my mind.
See you soon.
To be continued and all that.
No, I love that.
Like that was huge. But then playing against like the South African blokes who are just big
strong
human beings, strong big human beings. Like I remember trying to tackle Dwayne Vermeulen. And it was like concrete. It was just like hitting a concrete beam. I was like, oh, that's great. It's great. I'm sure it's not safe. Like, but there's some collisions. But when you're in it, and when you're in it, like, you have adrenaline, and you have like, your body is just I don't know. Like, you feel it afterwards. The day afterwards, you feel like you've been in a car crash. But
were you always like that? So I think back to. So when you were like 17, 18, we were playing with the first team for the first time.
Yeah, no.
So did you ever have that fear aspect?
I mean, I'm not always. Nah, you definitely learn it. You definitely learn it. Like,
okay.
You learn to maybe grow into your body, but then grow into your mindset as well around the game.
Okay.
Because like when you're younger, when you're in the young academy, like, the game, it's not easy, but it's not as difficult, because it's not like, sometimes it's not everyone giving 100% of everything all the time. But in these collisions, when you get into the men's game, and when you get into like adults, like everything, sometimes in the big games especially, everyone's giving everything, and in a test match there's less skill error.
Right.
So like, is everybody giving everything all the time into every collision, and you have to do that over and over again. And if you think a different way, or you're not going to give 100%, you're just going to, and that happened to me a lot. Like when I was coming through, and I was told by the players straight away, the big players that we had, that if it wasn't good enough or whatever. But no, you definitely learn it, and then when you experience it more and more, you get used to it.
Yeah,
more and more, I suppose.
Have you got any more questions?
Well, I've got one more that I was going to ask you, bro. And it was literally just, how's modelling life going, bro? Tommy Hilfiger, modelling life.
Young
how's that going?
It's good, bro. It's good. It's different. But we're trying to glamorize the sport.
Why
right?
not, man? We need more of it.
No, we're trying. But that was a great experience, and I'll continue to do whatever I can in that space. You get
any banter from the boys?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course. But like, this is where it's like, like it's obviously. I just think it's good for the sport. I think it's good for obviously myself being in that space, but. No, I enjoy it, but then the feedback that you get from the guys is difficult. But I think we do have to move past that. We have to move past that to progress, because if it just kind of remains the same, then it will just stay the same. And we don't want to. I don't want to stay the same. I don't want the sport to remain the same. So if there's anything that I can do as an individual, then I'll do it. But I've enjoyed it so far, and hopefully I'll
make your money, bro.
It's true. I mean,
money, bro.
Cassius has to go to school at some point.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
I'm a different type of rock star. I got class and I got Henny overflowing up my shot glass.